I'm Barry Farber. One of my best friends in life was in the North Korean Communist Army. We're very dear friends now, and we frequently laugh about what would have happened if we'd met each other in 1952. Who would have shot each other first? There would have been absolutely no sentimentality through those gun sights. The funny thing now is that if John Van Soest were not here, Leroy Colbert would be coming down with righteous thunder upon wrongdoers, first of all, black wrongdoers, because he is black, and Leroy agrees with me that you should criticize your own first. And if Leroy were not here, John Van Soest would admire him so very much if I were to tell him about Leroy. Let me tell you about this man who's sitting here, John. Talk about upward mobility and taking advantage of your opportunity. He's a former Mr. America, and looks like he could take off his shirt and walk right back into the ring and be a Mr. America this afternoon, tomorrow morning. Leroy did not have a gym. He did not have trainers. He did not have Olympic officials fawning all over him in the weightlifting competition. He had nothing except a basement where he wasn't even supposed to go, but where he went anyhow because he wanted to develop his body. And his first set of weights was a broomstick with a bucket of water on each end. And then he graduated to bricks on each end. And then the landlord found out that Miss Colbert's little boy was down there messing up the basement with buckets of water and bricks, and he figured he would discourage him by not telling him when the coal was going to be delivered. So all of a sudden, the door would open above his head, and he'd be smothered in coal with his makeshift weights of broomsticks and buckets of water, and so on up. And he's now one of the most successful businessmen in New York City. He is Leroy Colbert of the World Health Centers. There are 3 of them now, one on the east side of Manhattan, one on the west side, and one in Englewood. So Leroy is not the kind of person you're talking about. You all were discussing Muhammad Ali during the break. What was it that you said that started it, John?
Well, Muhammad Ali is such a hero to the black people. They forget that he's Muhammad Ali for no other reason than he tried to dodge the draft. He changed his name to Muhammad Ali to make it look as though he became religious. And he said he wasn't going to fight anymore because he didn't believe in violence and he didn't want to go to Vietnam. But yet, after he beat the rap, he went right back into the ring. But he had to keep the name Muhammad Ali because he would have looked like a phony if he changed it back to Cassius Clay, which I still call him. He's never said one good thing about this country. He's never said one good thing about whites, and yet he's a big hero to the blacks. For the same reasons that Malcolm X, that anti-white and anti-American bigot, is a big hero to the blacks. The blacks back up anybody who despised this country and never says anything good about this country. Look at Andrew Young. I don't understand this nonsense that if someone is the same color as you or religious background, that you back them up no matter what, because this happens to be a mainly white country, and if you don't, whitey's going to get us because they outnumber us something like 10,000 to 1. If most of the killings and rapings and negative things were done by white people, I'd be the first to knock them, but not blacks. He says blacks are more docile than whites. Take a look in the New York News any day a vicious crime is committed. Anytime you open up the paper, I don't even have to look at it, at the name or anything. 99% of the time, there's no doubt in my mind. Wait a minute, I let you speak. No. I knew he was going to bring up this mass murders nonsense. You see, that...
Blankowitz was black, huh?
Wait a minute.
Come on.
When I'm not talking about... You see, that's a one...
See,
let me finish.
You're sin.
That's a one... When you get these killings, these mass killings, it's a one-shot deal by a guy who happens to be a maniac.
How many one-shotters have you been reading?
Maybe 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 in the last few years. But... every day you open up the paper, and this is a way of life with blacks and Puerto Ricans. This is the way they live. They rob, steal, rape. Do you know why the auto insurance parts have gone up? The auto insurance has gone up in the last few years? Because Puerto Ricans are going around robbing cars left and right and stealing parts.
Hold it, Leroy. You'll have right of response when we reconvene. Okay, Leroy, your turn.
Well, Barry, it's very hard for me to deal. I'm sitting here with a fella here that everything comes out of his mouth is reek with twisting and hate. And you can't deal with, because you see, I deal entirely. If I sat here, I could sit here right now, Barry, and talk about all of the things that happened to me, hostile by whites, and say how I hate them. They're the reason why I have this hate in me. And anybody that looks for an excuse to hate will find it. And this fella here is reeked with hate. And for me to sit here and have a dialogue with him is a waste of time, you see. Because I don't have that kind of hate. I don't have hate for anybody. Because I realize whatever condition there is, it can be corrected with decent, level-headed people looking at a problem in a sensible manner and not making excuses to be hateful. Now, when you want to hate, Barry, you will find reasons to hate. It's just like a guy say all blacks are lazy, and you show him 1,000 blacks working, he don't see him. First man he see laying down, say, I told you so. See, because when a man wants to hate, nothing you can do to save him. Now, for me to sit here and discuss something with this fella here, I realize as he talks about the skunk, Muhammad Ali is a skunk, because Muhammad Ali don't satisfy his psyche. He's a skunk. And I listen to this fella and I say to myself, what has this fella done in life to make him this Messiah that he's calling himself? To make him to be able to rule on the viability to all of these men that have accomplished things, bona fide men that have that Muhammad Ali is the most known and revered man on earth at the present time. But yet you say, who do you think support Muhammad Ali? Blacks? What do you think Muhammad Ali made his millions from? Blacks? No, he's made it from whites.
Well, at the beginning of the program, I said before that there are certain, look, first of all, when people go to boxing matches, they're not looking at color. But I'm looking more at his politics. I don't like the man's politics. You're using all these cryptic cliches. Yet the shame of it is, Barry, that whenever anybody speaks the truth about what's going on, they always come off as the Nazi racist, you know, the fascist, and he's going to come off as the intellectual who wants to sit down and solve the problems. Blacks aren't interested in having. They feel that as they solve things, it's going to be like they gave in to the white racist society if they kowtow to something that's decent.
Gentlemen, debates like this end exactly the way boxing matches end. Not after the completion of a certain planned flurry of punches, but at the bell. And this is it. Thank you very much. John Van Soest, a young man willing to admit that he is bigoted and eager to tell us why. And Leroy Colbert, old friend of these microphones, former Mr. America, and a man who in many ways is the voice of America across America. I'm Barry Farber. Keep asking questions.